Yo, what's cracking, guys? It's another day. I'm out here legitimately working on the Soul. Like I said, I've been driving around this car for a couple days. The suspension is feeling quite not, it's feeling like shit. I'll be straight up honest with you. And this goes with the story of the car. It was put together really fast and I was driving it, and then I started to realize that everything is really not quite put together. So I'm gonna slowly go and try to fix everything. And the first thing I thought about was why the rear end is constantly just bumping around, and you know, that race car feeling, but that, you know, that stiff bouncy shit that you don't really like, but it's fun because you're like, oh yeah, we're just cruising down. In the back of my head I realized it probably when the suspension got put in and when my friend put it all together and we were just driving it. I guarantee nothing was set up right, like no preload, no nothing. It was just thrown in and started driving it around, and like, you know, I kept feeling it, I kept messing with it, and basically what I found out is, as you can see, I got the wheel off, so let's take a little walk over here. So I got this off here, check it out. Now I've already separated these two rings, right? The lock ring and the actual like lower spring perch, I guess, or lower spring mount. Look at this. Now this was actually down to here, so you had that much play. I guarantee the other side is just the same. It's possible that, you know, the back is less or the front is more so, but this is what I mean, all right? My car sat for hella years, and then my friend put it together and I put some stuff together, and then it sat in my garage, and now I'm driving it, and this is the stuff I overlooked because I was just like, oh sure, it's together, but it wasn't at all. So not really embarrassed about it, more so just like, dude, I need to fix this. So this is my thing to fix it. And I posted a picture on my Instagram. I'll put it here. And John Widmer of Garage Built Hondas was like, this should be your motivation to work on your car. And you're absolutely right, dude. I literally woke up, got to the shop because I got to do stuff here, and then I was just like, I'm gonna start tinkering. There's no reason I shouldn't. 2-3 hours a day as I have it, and then if I can find a weekend, you know. And if you guys don't know his channel, I'm sure all of you do, but check it out. Every time I literally go on YouTube to try to like get a visual, like how should I do this so I could have it in my brain as I go about it, he's in the first 3 videos because I literally work on this and a hatch, an EF hatch. So he literally dominates the search rankings for anything you need to do with your hatch. With that said, I'm gonna get cracking on that and hopefully knock out the other side. It's really simple. I'm not really good at explaining things, but you know, maybe I will for this one. So D2 coils, nothing too fancy, you know. You've got the lower cup right here, the lock ring for that, the lower lock ring for the lower spring perch. Way up here you got the upper spring perch. D2 doesn't really give you any preload numbers. They literally just say get it tight and snug, and that is all you need. Now when I'm here building suspension, we definitely have preload numbers, you know, that correlate with spring rates and stuff. I gotta look online to see what these even are. Again, I'm just gonna follow D2 specs because I'm sure they figured out their magic, and I don't know what the valving is, so we can't get too crazy about it. But I broke the 2 lock rings and lower perch open, and I'm just gonna tighten it, and then I'm gonna do that to the other side, and then hopefully the bounciness, and I actually start feeling like, okay, this is how maybe it should have felt. But yeah, it's more embarrassing to myself a bit that like I've been driving around on this, but I haven't really had time, and I just need to start staying motivated. So, you know, Garage Built Hondas, thanks for pushing me, thanks for being like, this should be your motivation. It totally was. I looked at the car and I was just like, man, I was almost there, and now I'm like 15 steps back, so I want to be there. So shout out to you, dude, and I'm gonna get started here. All right, so got that all tightened up. I went to get a caliper gauge. So in reality, I think the way you're actually supposed to measure preload is measure the length of the spring and then subtract how many millimeters of preload you want out of that. And then you can technically set the lower perch to that and then compress the whole, you know, coil over together basically. So yeah, I am basically doing it on the car to save a little time to see if this actually is worth it, or you know, the suspension is actually good. Basically what I'm testing is if I, you know, actually add preload, if it still rides super bumpy, then the shocks are just blown, and then, you know, there's nothing really you can do about that. So what I went and did is I got a caliper gauge, and since I'm not actually sure how much preload I'm supposed to add right now, I'm gonna kind of make it as tight as I can, as snug as I can, and then measure from right here. So to kind of make it even, I am basically going to measure from the bottom of the top hat to the bottom of this spring perch right here, and that way when I do the other side, I at least know that it's even on both sides. I know the height on both sides as far as like droop length is about the same, so I'm not too worried about that. The lock rings were actually so tight that when I tried to untighten them, it like spun the whole damper, so that kind of sucks. So it was more like a let's go back what looks like 2 half turns or a whole turnaround, I don't know. But anyways, yeah, so bottom of the perch, bottom of the top hat to the bottom of the perch, I'll take that measurement, and when I go to the other side, I will tighten everything up to that spec, and then in my head I kind of know that, like, okay, technically they are at least equal. That's how we're gonna do things right now. If I had more time, I would obviously take the whole thing out, take it all apart, and then disassemble, reassemble, and put it back in, kind of like I do here, but I don't know, I just don't have that time, and this is literally only gonna take like 15-20 minutes, and I just wanna knock this out so I at least get some progress. Let's just do it. All right, got the lock ring on the bottom spring perch to here, so from the bottom to the bottom here is 160 millimeters. So I'm gonna go ahead and replicate that on the other side. So let's go ahead and drop it. I guess my kind of worry now is it has a bit of preload, so hopefully my actual height didn't change, but it shouldn't be too much, honestly. But if it is, I need to adjust all that anyways. I literally still need to get in alignment, and we have corner balancing weights, so I want to learn how to do that. So I'll do a bunch of stuff later, and like I said, this is all coming off when the Öhlins go back on, but just until I can freshen those up and get these running, I don't want to have to go and, you know, get back surgery because I hit a pothole. So next time you see something, hopefully we're on the other side and we are starting to tighten up the lock rings over there. All right, so passenger side, this is what I'm dealing with. Yeah, this explains so much. Anyways, all right, same process. Not gonna lie to you, I don't even remember how much that was, so I'm literally gonna have to like go back into what I recorded, because I'm pretty sure it was 160. Might not have been, but I'm gonna go ahead and rewatch what I just said, and that's why I said it on film. But yeah, same process, right? So gonna have to unlock these two. Found out, did a quick measurement, you know, center hub to center. Did a quick measurement, center hub to this guy here. And then I think I have to actually lift up this side like 15 millimeters or something like that. So anyway, it's gonna even out the rear. What happened actually happened. It bumped it up a little bit, but get this thing buttoned up, guys. All right, guys, so cool. I got the back as even as I can. 250 millimeter to 250 millimeter. I think I'm off by like half or one, which isn't too bad by measuring. I had to like take the wheel off and on like 4 or 5 times to get it as close as I can right now. If you get anything from this, always torque your lug nuts after you put on a wheel. You know, sometimes you guys go on all jacked stands or the back on 2, and then you're like, all right, cool. Take the wheel off, put the wheel back on, I'll tighten my lug nuts after. No, dude, like, if I've learned anything from messing with cars, if you put the wheel back on torque the lug nuts. That way you never forget, because it's literally the last thing you want to find out is that you didn't torque the lug nuts on a freeway on-ramp. I know some people. Wasn't fun, but like I said, if you take a wheel off, put it back on, just torque the lug nuts. Even if you took out all of them, just torque the lug nuts when you put a wheel back on. Alright guys, that about wraps this this vlog up, I guess, you know, and sorry it's like kind of all over the place, but I kind of wanted to go over some of the responses that I got from the last video that I made about asking what your favorite chassis was. And first one, I guess I kind of want to talk about is Julius Jones. That's cool. EK Hatch, I'll have, you know, here or over here, I'll put it up so you guys can read it, but EK Hatch was definitely a favorite. I really love them too. You know, I have a full function 7, rear setup, carbine, front setup, coilovers, camber kits, full OEM CTR lip kit, spoon wing. This guy's got a bunch of stuff in his car. Everything's listed right here, but that's really cool. DA, you know, there's only like maybe 1 or 2 of you, Chris Sadowski being one of them, that actually shouted out DAs. It's like the unforgotten Integra. DC2s obviously are getting tons of love. If you saw my last recap, there's so many builds going on right now. Not hating at all. It's just funny that no one remembers the DAs, you know, no one wants those square. You can remember the EF hatch, but DA seems to go out the window, but I don't know, I don't think anyone forgets it. And then the other one that is kind of like no one really talked about too, and I don't know too much about, so shout out to Driven Films Photography. Shout out to Driven Films. He's got a bunch of CVs on his channel, and just in general, I don't really get into the Accords, you know, and it's not anything personal. I've just never had one. I've always been, my first car was an EJ1, so I always just ended up a Civic guy. But there's a lot of you out there that started out with like Accords and stuff, and that's awesome because the F-Series motor is like, no one really talks about that either. H-Series, things like that. H-Series a little bit more, but I mean, for the most part, no one really gives Accords much credit, so shout out to you, Driven. That's really cool. I'm definitely gonna watch some stuff you have, and I'm trying to get into the CV world, you know, because a lot of people talk about them, but I'm just, not because I'm not interested, just like I don't really have the many around. Most of my friends are Civic guys and stuff, so I don't know, but CV's definitely the one people talk about. And then this guy, Casey, CV7 Honda Accord sedan, preferably 92 to 93. His first car when he was 16. I'll throw that up here. That's awesome, but that's exactly what I mean, right? It's still like EF-ish, but it's just your first car. And so like if you keep following that and you loved it and that became your passion, then like, yeah, I can see how you can just keep going down that Accord line. It's just like the forgotten chassis. A little bit forgotten, but not really, dude. I give you guys props. I gotta say, you know, like I didn't really follow it, so now that I'm learning a lot more, the chassis is pretty dope, guys. I can see why you got into it. Stefan Ortega, CL9 Accord / TSX. Another one, the TSX. Man, what a sick car. I can't even put words into that. The ILX was really sick too. Super new, but still like awesome chassis, guy. I'm glad. And you know what, guys, like I'm so glad that when I asked this question, hella people, it's across the board. Literally from EFs to new cars. That's so awesome. You guys are repping all of them. I really love the fact that there's a hardcore EG, DC2, and EK world, but then I really love the fact that you guys came out for Accords, you guys came out for the TSX, you guys started talking about random other stuff. That's awesome. I also really love that, you know, a couple people found each other and they liked each other's content within the comment section. That's literally what I'm going for. So I'm glad some people got to meet up and actually follow each other. So like I said, dude, thanks for all that. Thanks for all the responses. All right, so I guess for the next question, I'll just make it a little weird, and maybe you guys got to think about this. Let's say if I gave you $5 grand tomorrow and you had to go buy the car and build it, what would it be? What would you build for $5 grand? Think about it, you know, motor-wise, suspension, the chassis, what would you do? How would you go about it? Maybe you'd keep it a little stock and then spruce up something else. Maybe you'd go all stance, maybe you'd go track. What would you do? If I gave you $5 grand tomorrow, what would you build? Let me know in the comments below. We'll go over it next time. Thanks for the responses, guys. I love reading these things. I read and respond to every single person as I can. It might be the next day. It could be 2 weeks from now. It could be 2 days from now. But you know what? I'm trying to respond to every single person, and I love it, dude. Everybody that hits me up on Instagram, I'm talking to so many people about their builds. I love it. Just talking to Honda guys, dude. It's really cool. Thank you for spreading positivity. Keep it going, guys. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.